Hey, middle-aged gamers, welcome back to the latest middle-aged gaming podcast. We talk about games, news, and everything in between. Lots of news today, lots to get into. We're unfortunately missing Antoine. He's being an amazing father, checking out his son's baseball games, or did they call it Little League in Canada? I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get straight into it. Adam's going to tell us about a game we've talked about before, Zenless Zone Zero, and what's happening there.
Yeah, so Zenless Zone Zero is getting its official announcement of a release. It will be coming out on July 4th. So if you're in America, happy birthday. It will be released on PS5, Epic Store for PC, Apple, and on Android. So if you're on any of those platforms, you can feel free to play. You can pre-register now. The more pre-registers they get, the more rewards we are going to unlock. I believe they have all but the last one. So there's only one more to go. So go ahead and pre-register that. So, when you get into the game, you'll be able to get some extra crafting materials, that sort of thing. So definitely do that. And yeah, they also currently have a stock up web event. So what you can do is you can go onto their website, log in and do some activities. And then you will also be able to stock up on certain supplies so that when the game does release, you'll be able to get that. If you're interested in, or if you're wondering what kind of game Zenless Zone Zero is, it is a brawler type game. So if you've played something like Streets of Rage or what was the one that I played? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But anyway, if you played those kind of games.
Oh, the Taiwanese one, right?
Yeah, the Taiwanese one. Now, why is it slipping past my mind right now?
I can't remember either.
I know, but I love that game. But if you enjoy those kinds of games, you can play this one. It's going to be entirely free. There are going to be, it is a gacha game, so it is going to be, you unlock certain characters, and as you go through, they're going to be adding new characters. So obviously, there's going to be that, pay to get more stuff more quickly element. But yeah, otherwise, it's entirely free, and you could just play and go through it casually. And I'm looking forward to at least trying it. I don't know if I'm going to be sticking with it for how long. I guess it's going to depend on how easy it is to unlock characters and if I'm getting characters that I enjoy and like. But I do enjoy this style of game, so I'm going to give it a shot and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Adam, is there anything about monetization? Is this a free to play or
it's free to play? It's MiHoYo, so it's the same people that make Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, and it's going to be the exact same, gacha mechanics. So you'll unlock. Maybe they'll give you a couple characters right at the beginning. I don't know if it'll be like Genshin, where as you play through, certain characters will automatically unlock, but other ones you have to. Other ones you have to get through the gacha system. This one, I don't know if it's going to do the same thing. I would assume that you're probably going to get some characters as you go through because they've been advertising pretty heavily. So I would assume certain characters will be kind of automatically unlocked. But yeah, as they go on, obviously they're going to be adding more characters to the roster. And those ones will probably be the kind that you have to pay for. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
So the way these MiHoYo games work, right, is like you play through the game or the story up to a point with a character, and then you restart the game and you play again with new characters you've unlocked, I assume.
No, actually, the way it works is it's like at least with Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, you play through the game. And I don't know if you could restart Honkai Star Rail. I don't think you could with Genshin Impact, though. So what you would do is you would just play through the game, and you can use any characters that you want at any time. You can swap them out at certain times as well. I think you can have like a party of like maybe 3 or 4, and you can swap them in and out. And then as you go through, you can do the story elements. You can do them with any characters you have. But once you've completed all the story stuff, they have all the extra grinding and the in-game content and all that, and you can do that with whoever you want. I think it's just one account. I think there's just one save for your account, so I don't think you can reset the story, but you might be able to. At least when I played, you weren't able to. Yeah.
That's good to know. I'm never sure how this sort of stuff works. I've played other games, and you've probably played other games as well, where as you play the game, you unlock characters, and they're like, okay, next run where you play this game, if it's a roguelike game, or next time you play the RPG, now you have these other characters who have these like really weird and esoteric abilities that make the game harder, but because you've had this experience playing it a second time around, does make it not as difficult, right, or something. So I guess, but it's good to know. I'm curious. When I was looking for games to play, because you're doing your Stellar Blade video, Antoine's doing Beyond the Storm videos, I'm going to be doing a Frostpunk video. One of the games I was considering was Zenless Zone Zero, just because it was coming out, and on the Epic Store it was like coming soon, and then people were like, it's going to be in June, but July is like, okay. That actually might make a little bit more sense because Frostpunk is the end of July. But we'll see. I might play this with you, and that might be my video thing that I make for August, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we'll have to wait and see on July 4th. I've been trying to get into the betas, and I haven't gotten into a single one. So I haven't been able to test it for myself.
Yeah, July 4th. That's actually a good time because I will be off on July 4th because I get all the American holidays.
Oh, okay. I do not.
Yes, I mean, of course. So, yeah, so that might be a good thing for me to get in on the experience and make a video about day one and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, middle-aged gamers, I have a story for you that you probably would have missed. Did you know in the future on Windows 11, your computer will help you remember things that you forgot? Just like 5 minutes ago on the video, Adam and I forgot the game that him and I are very passionate Taiwanese supporters. We forgot this game, roller game that I hadn't played, and you streamed it, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, I did. Both the first one and the second one.
Exactly. And I remember this was a cool
Dusk
game.
Divers, that's the name of the game.
Yes, yes. So, as things happen, right, as you get older, your memory becomes horrible, or in our cases, sometimes becomes extraordinarily horrible for certain things. And this happens to me all the time. Like, this is why I have a note in my Google Keep where it's like, if I start to play a game, do not stop, because I will never get back to it, because just forgotten how to play a game, and games don't have that option of, hey, let's do the tutorial again, or very few games have that option. So a new line of PCs is coming out. They're calling Copilot Plus PCs. These are using the Qualcomm's new Snapdragon chipset. Now, this is something that I think is it's still going to be helpful if you're somebody who's going to buy a new PC. But if you already have a new PC, and especially a gaming PC, you probably don't need this. This is probably coming to your next AMD CPU or your next Intel CPU at some point, or your next Google or Snapdragon CPU, whoever's going to make it. One of the functions, so there's a bunch of different functions, but the main function is called recall. So what recall is a function on your Windows 11 PC, right? And you've probably already got Copilot installed on your PC. Most people Windows 11 do. It uses a lot of space because what it does, it takes screenshots of everything you do. And I know alarm bells ring, oh my God, it's spying on me. And lots of people have thought about that. But at the same time, I would accept the spying for helping me remember stuff, because there's so much stuff when it comes to gaming, when it comes to where did I put this file, or where is the video of this, or where's the screenshot or the thumbnail that Adam made for this YouTube video. And I've got 4 different hard drives and so many files. Oh my God. I've tried to do a virus scan on this PC, and it never finishes within 24 hours, even at max 100% CPU usage, because there's just too many files. But yeah, so to me, I think this technology is going to be really awesome, especially for people who forget how to play things. Oh, what was I doing yesterday, right? And Copilot will show the screenshot. Okay, it took a screenshot of where you were in the game, and it learns from your behavior. Like, okay, I can see this user, Crian is trying to find this thing in this game. I'm going to flash it up on the screen, or I can say, hey, Copilot, can you tell me what I was doing yesterday? And we'll show a screenshot like, oh, yesterday I was in this town, in this part of the game. And I'm like, oh, okay, I remember now. I think this is super exciting. At the moment, though, it's not possible. You do need a dedicated NPU, right? So if you're on an Apple device, starting from the M1, right, they have dedicated NPUs, which is a part of the CPU that is dedicated for NPUs, neural processing unit, which does all the AI stuff. And basically no current gen CPUs, gaming CPUs, regular CPUs have it. Only the latest from Snapdragon does. AMD and Intel are coming up with new CPUs with NPUs on them. Apple's devices already have that. So, I mean, potentially speaking, Apple's supposed to be announcing something with OpenAI. That's another story. But yeah, keep an eye out for a recall on your Windows 11 PCs if you're a Windows user. This could be something really exciting for us older gamers, older people who are working and managing stuff from home, or you're doing your spreadsheet and managing a budget. You're like, okay, I wrote this number yesterday, but it's gone. What happened? And you can ask Copilot and we'll remember. So check it out. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Please let me know. And please don't forget to check out this other video over here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled. I can
didn't
see
think
where
you would be.
Yeah, I can see where other people would be, but I'm the kind of person who still buys stuff in cash and would totally go off grid if he could. So, yeah. If you can turn it on and off, I could see the benefit. But yeah, the idea of it always being on, I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah. This is one of the things that kind of gets me, like, where people, you know, like we had with the Helldivers thing, right? People are like, I don't want to sign up for another thing because I don't want my data being out there and I don't want to have to worry about signing into this other stuff. And then you get something like this, and it's like, this is way more this is collecting way more data than probably anything in the history of data collection. You know, and so I'm like, yeah, if anybody was against, you know, having another account because for data collection reasons, if it's for other reasons, like, oh, it's just inconvenient, fine. But if it's for like, I don't want people collecting my data, I don't see how you could be for something like this.
I think the Helldivers thing to me was just like a laziness thing. Like it's to me, it's just like, I don't want to sign into another account. I don't want to sign into Ubisoft. You know, I don't want to sign into EA Origins. I just want one account to rule them all. If that's Steam, so be it. If that's PlayStation, so be it. I think that's what it was. It's just the world has become lazier.
Yeah, people put way too much information out there.
Yeah, no, and I think with Copilot, I think it's going to be active. I think the caveats I would worry about is just the storage. They said 25 gigabytes, but I can imagine if you're somebody who, like me, I turn on my PC at 7:30 a.m. and I turn it off at close to 11 p.m. And if it's taking large 4K screenshots, that's 3 megabytes a screenshot every 30 minutes, right? So, Jesus Christ, what would that be? That would be 36. It would be like 100 megabytes, 200 megabytes a day, maybe. And then if it's keeping all of that, and it's I can imagine this going above 25. And there are definitely people who will be like, no. And I can imagine also Microsoft saying, okay, by the way, this stays on your computer, but if you really want to help us out, why don't you click that button, upload it to the cloud where we can train our AI on your screenshots. And I mean, I'm all for AI, so I'd do that, but I can imagine people would be like, oh, no.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where whether you click it or not, there's no way to know if they're actually doing it or not. So even if you opt out
as well.
Yeah, even if you opt out, I mean, just the fact that it collected that data in the first place, it's kind of like, well, you know, so it's like, is it that when I click the thing, is it basically uploading my data to the cloud, or is it it's already uploading it to the cloud? If I click the thing, it's just no longer quote unquote anonymous.
As much as I tend to not be conspiratorial like that, but I do agree with it. There's so many times where it's like, oh, would you like to share this with us? And I'm like, no. And I can imagine them already taking the information anyway. So
oh, yeah. Did you see the thing where the person was proving that ChatGPT, because they were like, ChatGPT, give me my location. And it says, I can't do that. It says, you know, like, I don't have I'm not allowed access to your information, so I cannot tell you your location. And they keep asking it, and it won't do it. And then finally, they're like, okay, ChatGPT, how can I get to the closest Pizza Hut from my current location? And it's like, oh, go down this street, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, clearly you knew where I was. Like, it clearly had my location. It was saying that it can't access that information for privacy reasons. But as soon as I ask it for, change the prompt to how do I get to here, it knows where I am. So, yeah.
The wonders of AI and how it's going to change the future.
Yeah.
Not speaking of AI and getting into the FPS realm, what is happening with the latest Doom game, Adam?
Okay, so Doom is getting a new game. It is going to be called Doom. I forgot the title. It's going to be called Doom: The Dark Ages. And it is going to be set in a medieval setting, or at least a medieval inspired setting. Other words that they were using were things like Year Zero and the Beginning. So it looks like this may be a prequel of some sort, talking about possibly the origins of the Doomslayer. I suppose another possibility could be that you are doing some sort of time travel and going back in time. Or another possibility is it might just be that's the aesthetic, and this has nothing to do with prequels or anything like that. We don't know. However, we will know on June 9th, because that is the Xbox Game Showcase, and it is going to be featured there. So if you want to find out more about Doom: The Dark Ages, check out the Xbox Game Showcase on Sunday, June 9th. And also the rumors say that this will likely be multi-platform. So if you are on PlayStation, you might be able to play it. Maybe Switch too, although I wouldn't put money on the Switch. Maybe the Switch 2, not the Switch also. So maybe you might be able to get it there. But yeah, so it looks like a lot of people are happy because they're saying, well, Doom being a traditionally multi-platform franchise, staying multi-platform is a win and a good thing. There, of course, are people that are upset about it, saying, Xbox bought them. They should be hoarding all these IPs for themselves. But I'm all for keeping legacy, like I guess you could call them legacy franchises, multi-platform. Doom should do it. Elder Scrolls should do it. Final Fantasy should do it. So yeah, but we'll be checking that out. I have not played a Doom game, I don't think, since the original. So I have not played any of these updated Dooms, so I am not up to date with what's going on there. But yeah, check it out.
I played the first Doom and I understood I enjoyed it. It was fun, but they incorporated a modern mechanic, and I hate jumping puzzles. And there was a jumping puzzle on the first Doom, and I jumped and jumped and jumped, and I got almost to the top, and I died and had to restart all the way from the bottom, and I jumped and jumped and jumped, and after like 5 times, I'm like, screw you, Doom, and then I've never played a Doom game again. When it comes to the Switch, both the last 2 recent Dooms in the last 6 or 7 years are on the Switch. They do run, and they do run at 30 FPS 1080p. They've somehow magically managed to do that. But I mean, the Doom games, I remember the first Doom when it came out, not the original Doom, I mean the last recent modern iteration of Doom, and people were surprised, like this ran well on lower systems. It was really well optimized. And I think if you're a Doom person, of course, you're going to be super excited. I think the interesting thing is that the second Doom had like a multiplayer component. They were like looking to get into this multiplayer shooter arena. It didn't quite work out as they had planned, and people played it. But again, as with sort of tagged on multiplayer components, a month later, 2 months later, it was like 30 people were playing this multiplayer component of Doom. Is that good enough for Microsoft and Bethesda in 2024 or 2025 or 2026, whenever this game comes out, that they have a single-player FPS game with no multiplayer combat, no monetization? I think that's something to be seen. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I don't know. The last few Dooms haven't. So that would lead me to believe that it won't be... it won't be like Fortnite style with the what do you call them, seasons passes or anything like that. Doom has the last few have had multiplayer, right? Or no?
Yes, the last two did have multiplayer. The first one was very bare bones. The second one did have like modes and stuff, but it just didn't hold people's attention.
Yeah, yeah. If I had to guess, I would say probably either no multiplayer or that kind of thing where it's like a bare bones. We're not going to be really investing a lot of time and money into maintaining a constant presence. So yeah, I would think it'll probably be like the older ones. It'll be interesting to see though. This will be the first time Doom has released under Microsoft, so it'll be interesting to see what changes they make, if any. They might just say, hey, you know what? Let's just stick to the formula, or they might be like, hey, we want to try this or that. So we'll have to see. Yeah, Noble Cooper over here saying Suicide Squad didn't flop at all, right? So of course, live service is a great idea. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about that in the rumors, so I would assume it's still going to be the same single player experience that we've been getting.
Yeah, no, I saw this on Threads like earlier, it was the end of last week about Doom: The Dark Ages. I posted it on our Threads account as well. Like, hey, this is going to be the new Doom game. What do you think? And my big concern was like, okay, I always feel, and we've talked about this idea, my personal opinion is that people are always pushing for innovation. I'm like, the second Doom was well reviewed, well liked, right? It's still like an 8 out of 10 game, roughly. The first one was a little bit higher, like a 9 out of 10 if I remember, across a wide variety of publications. But the third game, like, they do pretty much the same thing, this big heavy metal soundtrack, weapons, different firing modes, going through the levels, shooting bosses, getting to the end of the game, some sort of story tagged on. Is that going to be enough? I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to come in on the 9th and see what they do. That's 2 weeks from now. So I guess we can talk about that in 2 weeks.
Indeed. Yeah, I think maybe next week might be a good speculation episode about what's coming out, because I've seen things dropping about what's coming out and on the Xbox sort of showcase. And there was some Japanese indie showcase that happened that I was surprised that we missed as well.
Oh, I didn't hear that one. Yeah, and then Summer Games Fest is coming up soon.
Okay, on that note, middle-aged gamers, I have another card game for you this week. As usual, like, oh, Crian, another card game. I'm like, yes, another card game, because this was an indie game that was, speaking of the event that Adam and I were talking about, this was showcased in Japan, and I guess like a few days later, they released like English versions of all these trailers. And this was one that really caught my eye. So VED, V-E-D, is a story-driven, hand-drawn RPG. And I love hand-drawn art. I love art. Great. Like, many episodes ago, look at our art. That is all Adam's doing, and I love Adam's art as well. With a unique turn-based combat system and roguelike elements. Set in 2 different worlds, VED tells the story of Cyrus, a young hero who sets out on a quest to become a master of sword and magic and save everything he knows from destruction. So again, this is a 2024 release date. If you go to the Steam page, there is no specific release, but as always, right, like we always try to encourage you guys, go and add it to your wish list, right? If your wish list is significantly large, you can probably understand sometimes my wish list of 124 games is kind of large, and it is a little bit getting to the point where I'm like, okay, this is something come to work to manage my wish list. That's kind of the bad thing. But if you have a small wish list and you are already had a card game, definitely suggest you add it. Maybe the player, right, is no multiplayer component. This looks as if we love the game where it's like that to replay it has to be like 1 month, twice, 2 times, a lot of stuff. And different mechanics, and what else is this going to talk about? The game's huge fantasy world, characters, and aesthetic design are inspired by various cultures and mythologies. Throughout Cyrus' quest, he will encounter many factions that have different views on the events taking place. By helping inhabitants from magical lands and the real world, Cyrus will learn more about himself, both universes, and most importantly, how to save them all or their doom. Craft unique combinations of vids by building new structures in the village for yourself and your allies to unlock new skills and abilities. Select magical powers that work together to efficiently dispatch foes and defeat even your strongest enemies. The coolest thing I love about this, right, which I find with story games is that, or story card-driven games, is that stories are always linear. It's like, hey, go from A, go to B. In this game, there are options, right? It is a non-linear story where every decision can lead to irreversible consequences and alternative endings. So, again, guys who are watching the channel, right? If you know games that have non-linear endings for a card game, please let me know. Because I don't. And I've played a few card games, but I've not seen anything that have a non-linear ending. So this is something, and I also love this kind of game because this is something I can play portably on an RNG Ally or a Lenovo Legion Go or a Switch at some point. So yeah, if you're looking for a card game to keep on your radar, and we always need games to keep on our radars, especially as we get older, this might be something to add to your Steam wishlist, and then at some point play it on your Steam Deck when it does come out, support the developer, and let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, I haven't played a card game in a while. This kind of art always throws me off. Where they have like clearly a still picture and they're like stretching it. It always kind of creeps me out.
What does it mean, though?
What do you mean?
Stretching it.
Like, okay, so there's a like when they talk, like normally if you're animating something, you would animate different frames, right? But here you can see like what they do,
okay,
like when the characters talk, is they basically create the picture, and what they do is they create like a mesh frame of the character or whatever around that picture, and then they just kind of like stretch the frame. And so what that'll do is it'll stretch the picture's mouth out or whatever. And so that's why they can get like their arms to kind of bend and stuff, because what it's doing is it's just stretching the picture to fit the mesh as it moves. And a lot of like advertising does this on mobile. League of Legends would typically do this with their splash screen. So it's a pretty good artistic thing, but whenever they do it with mouths, it always I don't know, it goes into the uncanny valley for me, and it just looks very ethereal and dreamlike. And so yeah, I'm kind of like, ooh, every time I see it. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a thing, and I guess like after you've explained, I'm like, oh, this is how it looks, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this with a few games and splash screens. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, and yeah. I can definitely agree with the mouths. That's tends to the Joker territory of Batman.
I think it's because the art style is they go for kind of like an oil painting look. And so when like the oil painting kind of comes alive, it kind of gives you that was it the Disney haunted house kind of vibe or something like that, right? Like you know, these paintings are haunted. Part of my brain is just like uh-oh whenever I see it. But it looks really good, yeah. I'm not quite sure.
No, I 100% agree.
Yeah, looking at the video, I'm not quite sure how gameplay goes. So I'd be interested in seeing that. How heavy is it story-wise? Do you know? Like, is this like really like heavy story RPG?
No. I would say this is like your typical card game where it's like, okay, story, move around the world, card battle. Story, move around the world, card battle. It's like where a typical game would be 70% card battles, 30% story. I think this is going to be a little bit more along the lines of 60% card battles, a 40% story and building. And if you've played, my brother and I were playing the game Across the Obelisk, and that game where in town you can upgrade various structures. There's this town building element as well. So this is incorporating that into it. So I think this is definitely going to be, it'll give you an option, right? As a player, like if you want to do more about the story and spend more time building and more time advancing, or do you want to play more card battles, I think this will give you that option. Again, we don't know the full details of this yet. This was just unveiled at whatever Japan's indie festival that happened about a week or 2 weeks ago. So I love games, and you and I have talked about this, right? We love options in games, right? So something for Adam, something for Crian, as well as always wonderful. If it's just only for Adam or just only for Crian, that's where you and I start to have problems. So Adam, tell us what is happening in Helldivers since Antoine is no longer here today.
I know, Antoine's not with us. It's so sad. Yeah, no longer with us. The way we say it is just, we probably should be wording this a little bit better. Let's see. Okay, so Helldivers, apparently, I can't do it in Antoine's sexy accent, and I'm not even going to try mimicking his movie TV report thing. But basically, we have freed the mech. So there were a series of orders that we needed to follow, and they were not going well. Turns out we did get the important one because the new Exo 490 Emancipator mech is out. It is the dual cannons mech. It does have some people a little bit concerned about how balance is going to be moving forward, because something like this in theory should be extremely powerful, but when you have something like that extremely powerful, then it becomes the meta, like you have to have it. So we're going to have to wait and see. They did say that they were going to be unnerfing certain weapons. So things that have been nerfed in the past might be getting a little bit of a boost back so they can be a little bit more viable. And yeah, one of the recently we've seen the Helldivers numbers drop. Obviously part of that was the whole, PSN thing. But even after that, the numbers were still kind of dropping. And a lot of people were saying that part of it was due to the fact that things kind of had been being nerfed. One of the things about this game from the very beginning, when it came out, people were asking, we want PvP, we want PvP. And Arrowhead said, no, that's not that kind of game. This is, supposed to be a PvE game. We don't want to make it PvP. But then, of course, because it is PvE, you can have overpowered things, and you can, have that sense of, like, oh my God, this is like so incredibly powerful. They do want the game to be still somewhat difficult, though. So they did do some balancing, but unfortunately, it seems they went a little bit too far, because part of the, if you're going to go PvE, just go all in and make it all just, extreme fun with lots of explosions and whatnot. So they did nerf some things. They are looking into unnerfing those things. Now you have a new mech to play with. So we'll be seeing how it does in the future. We'll be seeing if those numbers come back. And yeah, I guess I can talk about it now. Because I had one last backup piece of news just in case, but this is not entirely about that. But if you have PlayStation points, you can get Helldivers 2 right now for 10,000 points. So if you have been picking up your games and collecting those points and you haven't picked up Helldivers 2, now it might be an opportunity to do that. So yeah.
How many points do you have?
I have 26,000.
Holy mother of God. But is that a lot?
I don't know. So you can get points when you buy games, you get points. Also, every month or so, they'll release kind of missions, so to speak. It'll say something like, okay, play one of these 5 multiplayer games, or just log in, or play this game or that game, or, do this or that. And you can get some points by doing that. Certain games, if you buy certain games at certain times, you can get more points than usual. So over time, like I originally said, I was originally saving them up for Sekiro. I needed, I think, 15,000 points to get Sekiro, and I was at 12,000, and then Sekiro went off, so I couldn't buy Sekiro anymore. But then for whatever reason, my numbers just skyrocketed up to 26,000 or 22,000. I think it was 22,000 at that point, but I couldn't get Sekiro anymore. Now I'm at 26,000, and they have currently available, it's Rise of the Ronin for 17,500. Stellar Blade, this was my last story, was Stellar Blade was just added for 17,500 points. So if you haven't picked up Stellar Blade, you can do that now. Destiny 2 Lightfall for 12,500. Helldivers for 10,000. You can pick up Dredge for 6,250, Bloodborne: The Old Hunters DLC for 5,000, Minecraft for 5,000, or Stardew Valley for 3,750. Or there are various currencies, so you can buy, like in-game currency for Genshin Impact, or I think maybe possibly Honkai Star Rail. Apex Legends, Naraka Blade Point. So you can get these in-game currencies for that as well. So yeah, I was originally planning on doing it for Sekiro. Sekiro got dropped out, but then I saw Rise of the Ronin was there, and I was kind of like, do I want to do Rise of the Ronin? And then I saw Helldivers 2, and I'm like, oh, or do I want to do Helldivers 2? So we'll wait and see. If I get through some more games and I feel in the mood for Rise of the Ronin, I'll probably spend it on that. But yeah, until I see an absolute must-buy right now, I'm going to sit on them for a while. So, yeah.
I guess final question for this story, Adam. I know you've been wanting to play Helldivers 2 for a while. I bought it. I played it once. I think maybe twice, I think, with a friend of mine before we got into Uncharted. Do you think, given how long you've been waiting for your friend to get a PlayStation, do you think you'll ever play Helldivers 2?
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah, we've been waiting because... like I said, so the whole story, I think I've told it before. We can tell it again. I have these two friends. I've known them since elementary school. You know, so we've been friends for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And we every Thursday morning here, it's Wednesday morning their time, we always get together and play video games. So when the PlayStation 5 came out, I got the PlayStation 5 almost immediately. One of my other one of the other guys, his PlayStation 4 eventually broke on him, and so he got it repaired, and then it broke again, and he was like, I'll just upgrade to PS5. So he upgraded to PS5. Then the other one, he is still on PS4, and he is not upgraded to the PS5 yet. So we've been the two of us that have PS5s. You know, we've been sitting on Baldur's Gate, Revenant 2. I've been trying to, you know, I would like for them to try out Naraka Blade Point so we can just see how that goes. Helldivers 2. I feel like there's at least one more. But yeah, so there's all these games that are only on PS5 that we can't play because the one guy's stuck on PS4. So yeah, but in his defense, he is a father of two, and he is a stay-at-home dad. So his wife is a nurse, so she makes fairly good money. But he is a stay-at-home dad who does art so he does like commissioning and that sort of thing. So money is not free-flowing with the two kids. So he has an excuse, but we still give him a hard time for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, speaking of Helldivers 2, like, I honestly think I don't see the game coming back into the Steam top 10 or ever again. Currently, like, as we're recording this episode, if you're watching the YouTube video late, Helldivers 2 is number 17 on the Steam chart with 43,198 players. One game above it is Elden Ring with 53,000 players. Number one, Counter-Strike 2, 544,000, Dota 2, 289,000. Then we have another 180,000 drop to Destiny 2. Then we have Multiverses, Team Fortress, Call of Duty Legends, Apex Legends number 7, 71,000, Stardew Valley number 8, 67,000, PUBG number 9, and rounding off the top 10 with Rust at number 10, 63,000. It's hard because I feel like all those games in the top 10, you've got competitive, huge, I guess maybe not even community, but just newly released content, newly released game. All the favorites in Team Fortress 2, Call of Duty, of course, competitive, huge Stardew Valley, huge community, not competitive, but just a fantastic game to play with somebody else. PUBG, of course, competitive, and Rust, community, and just a wide, like, so much you can do in Rust compared to like a Helldivers 2 or stuff. So I think it had a good run. It made a lot of money. Do you know they changed the CEO of?
Yes, I saw that yesterday.
I did not know that. When I was looking at today's stories, I'm like, is there any pressing story we should talk about? I'm like, Oh, and I looked at the news, like, oh, Helldivers 2 CEO is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, apparently the former CEO actually stepped down because he wanted to go back into development. So he was saying, you know what, I don't want to be this business guy. I want to go back to my roots. So he stepped down so he could get back into development, and they got a new CEO, which I can completely relate to. I teach English. I was the director of a school for 5 years, and after those 5 years, it was like, you know what? No, I do not want to be a director. I want to just go back to the teaching part, and I just want to be a grunt. I don't want to be a commander. So I relate completely.
And on that note, my final story for today is the Rogue Prince of Persia. You're like, what? Another Prince of Persia game? Didn't the other one just come out a few months ago? And yes, it did. But this is an early access game, right? So again, we don't know how much they said. They worked on this game for 4 years, and we're probably thinking, like, why does Ubisoft need early access? I mean, they're Ubisoft. They're like $1 billion company, right? So they don't mention how long this is going to be. They say a year or longer. This is going to be in early access. But so far, it looks really cool. The trailer I provided with Adam is sort of an indication of the art style, but I definitely encourage you to check out the Steam page. This is very much similar to the previous game, though the art style is different. It's still 2D platformer. You still have the functionality of the Sands of Time, right? Where when you die, you get to rewind time. But it says jump into this action roguelike installment in the Prince of Persia series as you flow between death-defying platforming and acrobatic combat as the prince himself. Battle through the capital city again and again with one goal: find a way to save Persia from a Han invasion wielding dark magic. So far, the reviews are 236, mostly positive reviews, but just released literally 2 days ago. That being said, this also kind of makes sense in early access because you would have seen the first game. Absolutely everyone loved it. Amazing reviews. Critics loved it. The people who played it loved it. It might have been a little bit difficult for some people. This is on my Switch wish list as well. It does run really well there, but it is a difficult game. And you heard me complaining to Adam about dying on Doom platforming. This is a game that I would not buy full price just because I would feel angry at myself for stop playing this at full price. But one of the problems with the game that came out a few months ago was like Ubisoft put a lot of money into the marketing. They put a lot of money into the game. Like, this is going to be different from the other Prince of Persia games. And while it was reviewed well, it did not sell well. So maybe this is why they've done it in early access. This is also something to consider. If you are going to support this game in early access, do remember this is a second take at a Prince of Persia game in a sort of similar 2D platforming action combat element. If you're one of those people, like sometimes you put money into a game, like I'm waiting for the DLCs, I'm going to play those. I know some of you middle-aged gamers don't do DLCs or extra gaming. I know Adam is the exception to that rule, and Adam, people like Adam. I'm definitely not a DLC or extra gaming content person anymore. I played once, done, or play half of it and done. So please do be aware of that this game, you could be just buying the game in early access. It might never finish early access. This happens, right? This is part of Steam's terms of service that if you buy a game in early access and you pay past the 2 or 3, 4 hours for a Steam refund, if the game never publishes, you never get your money back. That is it. Game be done. That is your fault for believing the publisher. And Ubisoft has the right to pull support for a game whenever they want to. That being said, it is a wonderful game. It looks cool. It looks fun. This is another game I will, again, play on a handheld solution rather than my desktop or on a MacBook or something like that. But if you love the last Prince of Persia game, this is guaranteed you'll probably enjoy this one. And let me know if you're already playing this in early access. I'd love to get your opinion. And speaking of opinions, I think you should check out this video over here. Okay.
So I have a question. This is a problem with English, the language. So you said he is going to be fighting the Huns. Was it using dark magic? Does that mean he's using dark magic, or does that mean the Huns are using dark magic?
I'm going to say Persia from 100 Invasion. It's wielding dark magic. So
Wielding
he'll
dark
be using dark magic because it has like a little purple flask in this game. And I guess this is the thing that has the dark magic inside.
Okay, because it said he'll be fighting the Huns wielding dark magic. Is that he will be wielding dark magic fighting the Huns, or he will be fighting the Huns who are wielding dark magic? So yeah, so you're the bad guy.
That is
evil magic. So I have never played a Prince of Persia game, actually. It's always they're all like reboots, right? You're not the same prince across them, right?
You are the same. I think you are the same prince across them, but I'm not sure.
Oh, really? Because he looks drastically different in various media. So I always assumed it was just kind of like a parallel reality kind of thing.
Like this guy looks the same, except now, I mean, in this art style, he has purple skin and stuff, or they have purple skin.
He doesn't have the dreadlocks.
Skin, whatever color it is.
He's got like bumpy hair.
But I mean, I guess I didn't play the recent one, but the Sands of Time one, he had like, his facial hair is similar to the style as well.
His facial hair is a little bit similar. Yeah, I just assumed they were all reboots and they didn't tie into each other in any way. But then, yeah, once they went with Sands of Time, it just, that seemed to be a recurring kind of thing. It's kind of interesting where the original Prince of Persia was originally just purely a platformer. And then with Sands of Time, they added in this time mechanic. And I mean, the name of the game is Sands of Time. So the whole point was like, hey, this game is built around this mechanic. And then suddenly that became the identity of the series. And it's like, from now on, all of them are going to have this time travel thing, as though that was always the point. I always think that's kind of interesting when, you get like your first game and then the later one basically defines it in the genre. So, yeah.
I mean, it was just I remember the mechanic way back in the day when I played the Sands of Time, and it was just like, as you miss a jump and you fall into the spike pit, and then you just hit the button. It was like S on your keyboard or something like that, and then it just goes whoosh, and you just go back, and it was like, like when we were growing up, right? We were seeing like different games, and you see this thing like, oh my god, this looks so beautiful. Oh my god, this looks so cool. Like, oh my god, computing and gaming has come so far. And it was just one of those moments that you're like, as much as people say, oh my god, gaming is fake and there are no real memories and stuff. Oh, I remember every single like major like boom, or like Chinese would say like 爆炸, like brain exploding moment that we've had in gaming. It's incredible. Like, and I understand, like, I've seen games with similar mechanics or even copying mechanics, but nothing ever hit me as hard as the Prince of Persia Sands of Time mechanic, where die and you have control of it. It's like, as your body gets impaled on the spikes and you just reverse time and you see yourself float upwards and back to the original position. I mean, that was just like, no, love it to bits.
Yeah, I know Cooper's mentioning Life is Strange as being another one that kind of does it, but yeah, it's not as quick. It's not a quick kind of action thing. You think that's why you like Prince of Persia so much, is because, like you said earlier, you don't like platformers, but then with Prince of Persia, if you whiff it, you can just immediately try again. You think maybe that's why it appeals to you more than other platformers?
No.
Okay.
It's the same reason I've fallen off multiplayer games like Apex. Like, I mean, I guess the last multiplayer game I played was like a Call of Duty, probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And it's fun, it's cool, but it just doesn't respect your time. And like I've told the guys this, like when I play games these days, when you switch games, I go to the bedroom, sit in the bed, cell phone next to me. So I still check, like while I'm gaming, I still check like every 30 minutes just in case I get like a work message on Slack. And then at the end of 60 minutes, okay, save game, go back to this room, continue working. So it's when there's a multiplayer game that respects my time, that says, okay, for the 60 minutes, you're going to be engaged in action. Even if you die, there's not like a wait until the game's over, or watch my friend play, or wait 15, 30 seconds each time, or wait 15, 30 seconds each time and they get killed by someone who spawns your what is that called? The spawn camper? Something like that. No. But yeah, that's why I love Prince of Persia.
Fair enough.
So remind our audience, Adam, what are you playing and what are we waiting for in terms of your next big streaming game?
So currently I am playing I Am Dead, which is an Annapurna game. I figured I don't have anything big to play next, so I'm going to be doing that. Probably going to finish in the next stream or two. In the game, basically, you are trying to stop a volcano from exploding on an island. You are from the island, but you died a short time ago. You need to find a new custodian to help appease the island spirits, but to be the custodian, you have to be dead for at least 1,000 days, and you have died more recently than that. So you're going around trying to find other spirits who are willing to take the job. There are 5. I've currently completed 3. I'm on my 4th right now. So I'm doing that. Once that is done, I don't know. I've been going through a couple different things. I was thinking maybe I will do... what was that game that I wanted to play last year? The Square one that didn't review well, but a lot of people are saying the game. Shoot, the one with the girl from New York. Can't remember the name of the game now.
Forspoken?
Forspoken, yes. I was considering doing Forspoken next, and finally getting through that. So maybe Forspoken, or the other possibility is to jump back into Final Fantasy 16 and do the 2 DLCs. Knock those 2 out. So probably one of those 2, and then Rise of the Ronin is another possibility I could get into, and then I have a couple other short ones like Annapurna games like Stonefly that I want to do. So I think Forspoken will probably be my next one. I don't know why. Like I'm thinking like I really should just do the DLC for Final Fantasy 16. Just do it. Just knock it out and then be done, and you can delete it off the system because you're finished with it. But I don't know. I'm just not feeling particularly motivated to do the DLC for Final Fantasy 16 just yet. So we'll see. I might just be, I think part of it is because I was in my second playthrough when I stopped playing it and moved on to, I don't remember what I was moved on to, but I was like halfway through my second playthrough, and to get to the DLC, you have to be at the end. So I'm like, I'd have to play through half the game to get there. If I could jump right in, I think I might do it, but I might do that. We'll see. Yeah, probably one of those 2.
I mean, like you read, I was thinking, oh my god, Final Fantasy DLCs, that sounds really cool. And then, like, no, I really want to see streams of you playing Forspoken, because that is on my Steam wish list as well to sort of buy. When it drops below a 50% discount, like a 75% discount, I'll pick it up. And this, because I love all those Magic games. I love Magic since I was a kid, like a real crazy D&D sorcerer's Magic. So I'd love to see that game. So my vote is for Forspoken, if and when you do decide to move on to it. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited because for the first time in quite a while, there's nothing on the horizon that I'm like really geared for. You know, this year everything was front loaded with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Dragon's Dogma 2 and Stellar Blade, and now that Stellar Blade's done, I'm kind of like, well, you know what? There are some games that I'm kind of like, yeah, they look interesting. Like I said, Rise of the Ronin or something like that. But there's nothing that I'm like, oh my god, I gotta play this. So I have, for the foreseeable future, I'm free to clear out the backlog, and that's a very freeing feeling for me. So I'm very, very happy about that. Although there have been rumors of a PlayStation Showcase coming out soon-ish, and there's a lot of talk about what do you call it? Ghost of Tsushima 2. So we'll see. If that comes out, then that's going right to the top of the list. But until we get that, yeah, I'll be working through my backlog.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm still, now you mentioned Zenless Zone Zero, so after the show I'm gonna have to look that up and see if that's available on a MacBook, or maybe I'll consider doing it on a PC as well.
Do they have Epic Games?
And on Epic Games, like because I'd love to be able to not play that here. I was chatting with ChatGPT for Omni. I'm like, I want to play computer games again, but how do I get over this feeling of not wanting to sit here and play games? And it was like, hey, what you need to do is you need a routine to separate your work from your gaming time. So you need to do something for like 15 minutes to change your mind so that this doesn't become associated with it. Like, oh God, that's a good idea. So I need to figure out what that exactly is, sort of signal mentally that I'm in a gaming mode. So we'll see. But I know I'm excited as well because Frostpunk 2 looks cool. I saw there's a video, the director talked about it. So at least that will be a game that I pick up and play for sure. If not, Zenless Zone Zero with Adam in July. I'm still playing Rise of Adam 2, 55 hours in. That is enjoyable, but I'm finding like the time to kill sometimes is a bit longer. So you have to go back and upgrade your gear. Because this is Rise is a huge crafting game where it's all about crafting, and crafting is not like, hey, click this recipe, craft. It's about gathering components and making stuff. And I've still got number 3 installed on my Switch as well, so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, so if you guys missed Antoine and his way of introducing content, keep an eye out for that next week. A few housekeeping things. So if you didn't know that, we'll be coming up with 3 big videos in the next 3 months. One is Celebrate, which Adam is made some amazing progress on very fast. And then Antoine will be releasing some Beyond the Storm videos, which I have 1 available. I'm going to try and work on that this Sunday. And then I've got like a month to on it, so I can put a lot of time into making sure it's up to Adam's quality of the videos he releases. And then the third video will either be Frostpunk or a Zenless Zone Zero video when it releases on July 4th, because I do have the day off on that day. And then moving forward, we're also going to be something I want to try at least for the foreseeable future is we're going to focus on Adam and Antoine in terms of stories. We got 6 stories, and there's more time for discussion. Like today in Adam, like we had 6, 7, 8 stories. We got to talk a lot, which is something I miss, and probably Adam misses a little bit, I imagine. So we're going to try and focus just on Adam and Antoine's stories. 6 stories, roughly 7 minutes of presence. It gives us time to talk about things and argue and make jokes and come up with some really good shorts reels. And we'll see. So let us know what you guys think, and then we will talk to you guys next week sometime.
Yeah.
Enjoy, guys.